I found out my husband was cheating on me with my cousin, and my mother knew but said nothing. I feel completely alone and pawn. I him in the parking lot of a conference hotel while my husband was home putting our daughter to bed. That's the sentence I can't stop replaying. Not the months of emotional buildup, not the "we're just friends" excuses I fed. Just that one moment when I made a choice that would detonate my entire. My name is Emma. I'm 34. I was married for 8 years to a man who loved me more than I deserve. We had a 6-year-old daughter named Lily who drew pictures of our family with oversized hearts floating above our heads. And I destroyed all of it because I was bored and convinced I deserved more excitement. It started so innocently. That's what I told anyway. His name was Marcus. We worked together on a project for 6 months. He was funny, attentive, made me feel seen in ways I hadn't felt in years. My husband Jake was a good man, a great father, but he was tired. We were both tired. The romance had faded into routines and grocery lists, and arguing about whose turn it was to clean the bathroom. Marcus never asked me to clean a bathroom. Marcus asked me about my dreams. I know how pathetic that sounds now. The first time we texted outside of work hours, I felt a thrill I hadn't felt since college. Just harmless banter, I told. We talked about movies, shared memes, complained about work. When he started adding heart emojis, I didn't shut it down. When he called me beautiful, I said thank instead of I'm married. Jake noticed I was on my phone more. Work stuff, I'd say. And he'd nod because he trusted me. That trust was a blanket I wrapped in while I betrayed him. The conference was in Chicago 3 days. Jake encouraged me to go. Been working so this project, he said. Deserve a break. He my forehead. Lily made me a good luck card with glitter that got all over my suitcase. I packed my nicest underwear. I told it was just confidence. I'm not I knew what I was doing. Marcus and I had dinner the first night, candlelight, his hand brushing mine across the table. I didn't pull away. We talked until the restaurant closed, then walked back to the hotel. The air felt electric. Dangerous. Exactly what I wanted. I should get to bed, I said standing in the lobby. Me too, he said. Neither of us moved. That's when he leaned in. That's when I let him. That's when I someone who wasn't my husband and felt alive for the first time in years. We went to his room. I won't give details because they don't matter, and because writing them would make me. What I will tell is that halfway through, I thought about Jake reading Lily a bedtime story. I thought about it and I didn't stop. I stayed until 2 a.m. Then I went back to my room, showered until my skin was raw, and cried into a hotel pillow. The next morning, I woke to a text from Jakey. Good morning, beautiful. Lily wants to FaceTime before school. I looked at my daughter's face on that screen and lied directly to it. Mommy misses so much, I said with a smile. She showed me a drawing she'd made. Another family portrait, another heart. I saw Marcus again that night, and the night after. Each time I told it would be the last time. Each time I was lying. When I got home, Jake picked me from the airport with Lily in the back seat. She ran to me screaming, "Mommy!" And I held her while Jake my cheek. I missed. He said. I missed too. I lied. I thought I could just go back to normal. I thought the guilt would fade and I'd never tell anyone, and it would just be this secret thing I'd carry. I was going to be one of those people who cheats once and never does it again and takes it to their grave. But Marcus texted me that night. And I responded. And we started making plans to meet, and I realized I wasn't done. I didn't want to be done. For 3 months, I lived a double. PTA meetings and secret hotel rooms, family dinners and deleted text threads. I became a master at lying. I looked Jake in the eyes and told him I loved him while I was planning when I could see Marcus again. Jake never suspected. That's what killed me the most. He trusted me completely. When I was distant, he thought I was stressed. When I was on my phone, he thought it was work. When I pulled away from his touch, he thought I was tired. The only person who noticed was my best friend Sarah. Seemed different, she said one day over coffee. Happier. I almost told her. I wanted to tell someone. But I just smiled and said, I'm trying to take better care of Pine. She looked at me for a long moment. Be careful, Em. I should have listened. It all fell apart on a random Tuesday in October. I'd told Jake I was working late. Instead, I was at Marcus's apartment. We were on his couch when my phone rang. Jake's mother. I ignored it. She called again. Then Jake called. Then his mother again. My stomach dropped. I answered. Emma, where are? Jake's voice was strained. My mom is at the hospital. She fell. They think she broke her hip. I flew into motion, spewing excuses. Traffic. Phone was on silent. Be right there. I got to the hospital 40 minutes later. Jake was in the waiting room with Lily asleep on his lap. He looked exhausted and scared. When he saw me, relief flooded his face. Thank God, he said. I didn't want to handle this alone. I hugged him and smelled Marcus's cologne on my shirt. His mother was okay. Surgery scheduled for the next day. We stayed until visiting hours ended, then drove home in silence. Jake held my hand the whole way. I stared out the window and felt nothing. That night, after Lily was asleep, Jake broke down. His mother was his whole world after his father died. He was terrified. He cried in my arms and told me he didn't know what he'd do without me. My rock," he said, everything." I held him and felt the weight of what I'd done crushing my chest. I told that was the wake call. I would end it with Marcus. I would be a better wife. I would fix this. But the next day, Marcus texted asking if I was okay. And I told him everything. And he was sympathetic and understanding. And that night, while Jake was at the hospital with his mother, I went to Marcus's place again. I was an addict. That's the only way to explain it. I knew it was destroying me and I couldn't stop. The end came 3 weeks later. Jake's younger sister Amy came to stay with us to help with their mom's recovery. She was using my laptop one morning when I'd forgotten to log out of my personal email. She saw messages from Marcus. Not work emails. The other kind. She didn't tell me she'd seen them. She took screenshots and sent them to Jake while I was at work. I'll never forget coming home that day. Lily was at a friend's house. Amy was gone. Jake was sitting at the kitchen table with his laptop open. Sit down, he said. His voice was flat, empty. I sat. I saw my own emails on his screen. I watched my entire end in real time. He didn't yell. He didn't throw things. He just looked at me with eyes that had nothing in them and said, "How long?" I couldn't speak. Oblong. The rage finally broke through. 3 months. I whispered. He laughed. It was the worst sound I've ever heard. 3 months. Jesus Christ, Emma. 3 months of lying to my face. He made me tell him everything. Every detail. Where we met. How many times. Whether I loved Marcus. Whether I'd thought about him while Jake and I were intimate. Whether I'd used protection. That last question broke something in him. I saw it happen. The man I'd married disappeared and someone hollow took his place, he said finally. Pack a bag. Get out of my house. Jake, please, can we just talk about this? Talk. He stood so fast the chair fell backward. Want to talk? I've been lying to me for 3 months and want to talk. I was crying. Desperate crying. I made a mistake. I'm so sorry. Please don't do this. Think about Lily. Don't dare say her name. His voice went quiet again, deadly quiet. Don't dare use our daughter as a shield for what did. She needs her mother. She needs a mother who doesn't destroy her family for some random guy at work. He picked his phone. Pack things or I'm calling the police and telling them trespassing. I packed a bag with shaking hands. Clothes, toiletries, nothing felt real. This couldn't be happening. We could fix this. We had to fix this. Jake stood in the doorway watching me. Who is he? He asked. What? The guy. Who is he? Is he married? The question gutted me because I'd never even asked. I don't know. Jake laughed that horrible laugh again. Don't know. Blew our marriage and don't even know if he's married. Is he at least worth it? Is he better than me? Jake. Answer the question. Was he better? Was the better? Did he make feel things I couldn't? I couldn't answer. Anything I said would destroy him more. Get out, he said. I'll tell Lily you're on a work trip. I'll figure out what to tell her when I have a lawyer. Lawyer, the word hit me like a punch. I went to a hotel, the same chain where Marcus and I had first gotten together. The irony wasn't lost on me. I sat on the edge of the bed and called him. Emma, Jake knows, I said. He found emails. It's over. Silence, long horrible silence. Oh, Marcus said finally, wow. I'm really sorry. Can I come over? I don't want to be alone. More silence. Emma, I don't think that's a good idea. This is really intense and I think we both need some space to process. Space. He wanted space. While my was imploding, he wanted space. Are serious right now. Look, this was fun, but it was always just, no. I never meant for it to become this big thing. Married, have a kid. I thought understood what this was. What this was. 3 months of sneaking around. 3 months of lies. 3 months that cost me everything, and to him it was just fun. Told me had feelings for me. I said, I mean, yeah, but come on. We both knew this wasn't going anywhere. We're never going to leave husband. Except I had. Not intentionally, but I had. And now I was alone in a hotel room being dumped by the man I'd destroyed my marriage for. So that's it? I asked. Or just done? Emma, I think it's better if we don't talk for a while. This is messy and I don't want to be in the middle of divorce. He hung. I sat there holding the phone, stunned. The man I'd risked everything for had just thrown me away like garbage. I didn't sleep that night. I kept checking my phone hoping Jake would call. Hoping he'd say we could talk. Hoping for anything. But there was nothing. The next morning I called Sarah. I told her everything. There was a long pause. Oh, Emma, she said. Her voice was full of disappointment, not sympathy. What did do? I know it was awful. I need help. Can I stay with while I figure this out? Another pause. I don't think that's a good idea. Mark and I are friends with Jake. We've known him for years. I can't be in the middle of this. Sarah, please, or my best friend. I was best friend when we're making good choices. I can't support this. I'm sorry. She hung too. That's when I realized how completely alone I was. I'd blown my for a man who didn't want me, and now everyone I loved was gone. Jake texted me that afternoon. Lily is asking for. I told her on a business trip. Have until tomorrow to figure out what to tell her. After that, I'm telling her the truth. The truth. How to tell a 6-year-old that mommy broke the family. I called him. He didn't answer. I called again. Nothing. Finally, I texted, please let me come see her. I'll explain everything. Just let me talk to her. His response, don't get to explain anything. Get to tell her made choices that mean won't be living with us anymore. That's it. I drove to the house the next day, my house. Except it wasn't anymore. Jake met me at the door and wouldn't let me inside. She's in her room, he said. Have 30 minutes. I'll be right here. Lily's room was exactly how I'd left it. Drawings on the walls. Stuffed animals everywhere. She was playing with her dolls when I walked in. Mommy. She ran to me and I caught her and held her so tight. Hi, baby. I managed to say. Did bring me a present from Trip. I hadn't thought about a present. I hadn't thought about anything except how much I'd destroyed. Not this time, sweetie. But I need to talk to about something important. She sat on her bed, swinging her legs, completely innocent, completely unaware that her world was about to shatter. I tried to use simple words. I tried to make it not my fault even though it was entirely my fault. I tried to make her understand that mommy and daddy still loved her even though we were going to live in different houses now. But why? She kept asking, why can't live here anymore? Because mommy made some mistakes and daddy is very upset. What mistakes? Ground mistakes, baby. But can't say sorry. When I make mistake, I say sorry and it's okay. If only it were that simple. If only sorry could fix what I'd broken. Some mistakes are too big for sorry, I said. She started crying, not loud, just quiet tears rolling down her face. I don't want to leave. Please don't leave, mommy. I held her while she cried and felt my heart rip into pieces. This was my daughter, my baby, and I'd done this to her. Jake knocked on the door. Times. Just a few more minutes. No, had time. Say goodbye. I Lily's forehead and told her I loved her and walked out of her room listening to her cry for me. Jake closed the door behind us. Did this, he said quietly. Every time she cries herself to sleep, that's. Every time she asks why her family is broken, that's. I hope it was worth it. It wasn't. God, it wasn't. The next few weeks were a blur of lawyers and paperwork and temporary custody arrangements. Jake was going for full custody. His lawyer made it clear they were going to paint me as an unfit mother. Adulterer. Lear, someone who prioritized physical gratification over her child's well-being. My own lawyer said my chances weren't good. Infidelity doesn't usually affect custody, but the way conducted the affair, the extended lying, the time away from family, it's not going to look good to a judge. I'd get every other weekend if I was lucky. Maybe one night a week. My daughter would grow without me as her primary parent because I couldn't keep my together. Work found out. Of course they found out. Marcus had apparently told people we'd been involved. Probably to brag, and HR called me in for a meeting. They couldn't fire me for having an affair, but they could transfer me. Different department. Different building. Starting immediately. I saw Marcus once more in the parking lot. He avoided eye contact and practically ran to his car. The man I'd destroyed my for wouldn't even look at me. My parents found out from Jake's mother. They called me devastated. My father couldn't even talk. My mother kept asking, why? Why would do this? I didn't have an answer that would satisfy her. We raised better than this, she said finally. I don't know who her anymore. Neither did I. Jake filed for divorce 6 weeks after he found out. The papers arrived at my apartment, a tiny one-bedroom that took half my paycheck, on a Friday afternoon. I read through the terms. He wanted the house, full custody with visitation for me, split of assets, division of debt. He wanted to erase me from our together. I signed everything. What else could I do? I'd forfeited my right to when I'd Marcus in that parking lot. The first time Lily came to stay with me for a weekend, she cried the whole first night. I want to go home, she kept saying. I want daddy. I know, baby, I know. Why did do the bad thing, mommy? Why did make daddy sad? 6 years old and she already knew I was the villain in this story. I tried to make the weekend special. We went to the park, made cookies, watched her favorite movies. But she was different with me now. Guarded, like she was afraid I'd disappear again. Sunday evening, Jake picked her. Lily ran to him like she'd been rescued. He didn't say a word to me, just put her in the car and drove away. I stood in my empty apartment and realized this was my now. Every other weekend. Holidays negotiated through lawyers. School events where I'd stand on the opposite side of the room from Jake and his family. Birthday parties where I'd be tolerated at best. I'd traded 8 years of marriage, and a family for 3 months of feeling wanted by a man who'd disposed of me the second things got difficult. My reflection in the bathroom mirror looked like a stranger. I barely recognized her. This person who'd destroyed everything good in her, chasing a feeling that evaporated the moment reality hit. Sarah posted pictures on social media of her family at a barbecue at Jake's house. All our mutual friends were there. Everyone I'd known for years, having a wonderful time without me. I wasn't invited. I would never be invited again. That night, I sat on my apartment floor with a bottle of and my phone. I scrolled through old pictures, family photos, Lily's first day of kindergarten, our last anniversary dinner where Jake had surprised me with flowers. He'd loved me, really, truly loved me, and I'd repaid that love by betraying him in the worst possible way. I texted him, I'm sorry. I know it doesn't mean anything, but I'm so sorry. He didn't respond. The divorce was finalized on a gray morning in March. We didn't speak. Our lawyers handed us papers to sign, and just like that, 8 years of marriage dissolved into a legal document. Jake walked out of the courthouse without looking back. I sat in my car and felt nothing. I think I'd cried empty by then. I got Lily every other weekend and one evening a week for dinner. The custody arrangement was generous, according to my lawyer. I'd gotten lucky, she said. Lucky. The first major holiday after the divorce was Lily's 7th birthday. Jake let me come to the party at his house. Let me. Like I was a guest at my own daughter's celebration. I arrived with presents and a cake I'd stayed late decorating. Lily hugged me, but it was brief. Distracted. She had friends to play with and a bounce house in the backyard, and I was just another person there. Jake's mother glared at me from across the yard. His sister Amy wouldn't even acknowledge my presence. The other parents, people I'd known for years through school events and playdates, whispered when I walked by. I heard one of them say, "That's the mom who had the affair." To someone new, I was the scandal, the cautionary tale, the woman who everything away. Jake had a woman with him. Not a date, just a friend, he'd told Lily, but I saw the way she looked at him, the way she helped him set decorations, the way Lily called her, Miss Katie, with easy affection. My replacement was already auditioning. I left early. Made an excuse about work. Lily barely noticed. That night, I did something pathetic. I looked Marcus on social media. He'd blocked me on everything months ago, but I found him through a mutual colleague's page. He was on vacation in Mexico with a woman. Looked serious. Looked happy. He'd moved on in the time it took me to lose everything. I thought about messaging him. I thought about asking if any of it had been real, if he'd ever actually cared, or if I'd just been convenient. But what would be the point? I knew the answer. Work became my only constant, and even that was a shadow of what it had been. My new position was a step down. My new colleagues had heard the rumors. I was professional Emma now. Cold Emma. No one invited me to happy hours or asked about my weekend. I'd become invisible. One of my old work friends, Rachel, pulled me aside one day. "I just want to know we don't judge," she said. "Everyone makes mistakes." Except her eyes said she absolutely did judge me. And it wasn't a mistake. Mistakes are accidental. What I did was a series of deliberate choices, each one burying me deeper. Thanks, I said anyway. She never spoke to me again outside of work necessities. I started therapy. My therapist asked me why I'd cheated. I gave her all the excuses I'd been telling. Jake and I had grown apart. I felt invisible. Marcus made me feel special. Our marriage had been dying anyway. She listened patiently, then asked, "Do you believe that?" I broke down. No, Jake was a good husband. He worked hard for our family. He loved me. I was just selfish and I wanted to feel something exciting again. That's the first honest thing said. She replied. The hardest part wasn't the divorce or the custody arrangement or the public shame. It was watching Lily adjust to a broken family, and knowing I was the one who broke it. She started having nightmares. Jake told me during one of our terse exchanges at PIC. She wakes crying, asking if I'm going to leave too. I never left her. Yes, did. Left both of us the first time, chose him over family. He was right. I'd been leaving them incrementally every time I'd texted Marcus, every time I'd lied, every time I'd chosen a hotel room over my daughter's bedtime. Lily's school called me one day. She'd gotten in trouble for pushing another kid. When the teacher asked her what was wrong, she'd said, "My family is broken and it's all my mom's fault." 7 years old, and she already understood exactly what I'd done. I tried to talk to her about it that evening when I picked her. We went for ice cream and I tried to explain that mommy had made mistakes but still loved her so much. "I've loved me, wouldn't have made daddy cry," she said, stirring her ice cream without eating it. "Madison's mom said did a bad thing with another man." What does that mean? My stomach dropped. Other parents were talking about it in front of their kids. Lily was hearing about my affair on the playground. Baby, grown, relationships are complicated. Madison said her mom said we're a bad person. Are a bad person, mommy. I wanted to say no. I wanted to defend. But how could I when everything they were saying was true? I made really bad choices. I said carefully, choices that people I love. That doesn't make me a bad person, but it means I did bad things. I hadn't, she said quietly. We were still a family. We're still a family, Lily. Just a different kind. No, we're not. Families live together. Don't live with us anymore. She finally looked at me, and her eyes were so sad, so much older than 7. Did love that man more than love me and daddy? No, baby. Never. I love more than anything. Then why did pick him? I didn't have an answer. Not one that would make sense to her, not one that made sense to me anymore. The months crawled by. I existed more than lived. Work, therapy, every other weekend with Lily, and endless empty hours in my apartment. I'd scroll through my phone looking at pictures of the I used to have. Birthday parties, Christmas mornings, family vacations, all of it gone. Jake started dating Katie officially. Lily mentioned her more and more. Miss Katie helped me with my homework. Miss Katie made really good pancakes. Miss Katie taught me how to braid hair. Miss Katie was doing all the things I should have been doing. I met her once, accidentally, at one of Lily's school events. She was kind, genuine, exactly the kind of woman Jake deserved. She shook my hand and said it was nice to meet me, and I saw no judgment in her eyes, just pity. Somehow that was worse. She seems nice. I told Jake afterward, trying to be mature about it. She is, he said. She's really good with Lily. The subtext was clear. Unlike my parents tried to maintain a relationship with me, but it was strained. Every conversation felt like walking through a minefield. My mother couldn't help herself from making little comments. I've just been more present in marriage. I've just appreciated what had. I've just thought about Lily. If. As though I hadn't spent every single day since day drowning in regret. My father was quieter about it, but I caught him looking at me sometimes with this deep disappointment that worse than any words could. I went to their house for Thanksgiving. Jake had Lily for the holiday. My brother and his perfect family were there. His wife kept giving me these sympathetic looks that made me want to scream. Their kids asked where Lily was, and why Uncle Jake wasn't there. Emma and Jake aren't together anymore. My mother explained gently. Why not? My nephew asked with the brutal honesty of a child. Silence. Everyone looked at their plates. Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes. I said finally. My brother changed the subject quickly, but the damage was done. Even at family gatherings, I was the problem that needed to be explained away. I left early. Spent Thanksgiving evening alone with Chinese takeout and a bottle of scrolling through pictures of Jake, Katie, and Lily carving a turkey together at Jake's parents' house. They looked like a family. A real family. The family I'd had and thrown away. Christmas was worse. I got Lily on Christmas Eve, but she cried because she wanted to be at Daddy's house for Christmas morning. Wanted to open presents with Miss Katie there. I tried to make our evening special, but my heart wasn't in it and she could tell. Jake picked her at 8 p.m. She practically leaped out of my car and into his arms. I handed him her overnight bag and our hands touched briefly. He pulled away like I'd burned him. "Merry Christmas, Jake," I said quietly. He looked at me for a long moment. "Know what I miss most?" he said suddenly. "I miss believing in. I miss trusting the person I loved. Didn't just cheat on me, Emma. Destroyed my ability to believe in anything good." He got in his car and drove away with our daughter. I sat in my dark apartment and realized he was dating someone new but still not over what I'd done. Maybe he never would be. Maybe I'd broken him permanently. The guilt was supposed to fade with time. That's what everyone says. Time heals all wounds. But it didn't fade, it grew. Every milestone I missed, every birthday party where I was the outsider, every time Lily mentioned Miss Katie, the guilt wrapped tighter around my chest. I thought about Marcus sometimes. Not with longing, but with this hollow confusion. I'd destroyed everything for someone who meant nothing. 3 months that felt exciting at the time but in hindsight were just empty. There was no grand passion, no soul connection. Just ego and boredom and selfishness. I'd traded my family for absolutely nothing. People at work eventually stopped whispering. They just forgot about me. I became that quiet woman in accounting who kept to herself. No one knew I had a daughter I only saw every other weekend. No one knew I'd once had a husband who'd loved me. No one knew I'd been someone different before I burned my to the ground. Lily's 8th birthday came and went. I wasn't invited to the party this time. Jake sent me a text, having it at Katie's parents' house. Thought it would be easier for everyone if came by another time to give her gift. Easier for everyone. Meaning easier if I wasn't there. I dropped off presents at Jake's house when no one was home. Left them on the porch like a delivery person. That night, Lily FaceTimed me to say thank. She was wearing a party dress and had cake on her face. I could hear laughter and music in the background. Katie appeared briefly in the frame, helping Lily hold the phone. "Thanks for the presents, Mom," Lily said brightly. "I gotta go, everyone's waiting for cake, love." She hung before I could say I love back. I sat on my couch and realized my daughter was having the time of her at a party I wasn't welcome at. She'd barely missed me. She had a new now, with Daddy and Miss Katie and all the people who hadn't betrayed them. I was becoming optional. My therapist asked me once what I'd learned from all this. I told her I'd learned that actions have consequences. That can't undo damage once it's done. That some mistakes are permanent. And what would tell someone who was thinking about doing what did? She asked. I thought about it for a long time. I'd tell them that whatever they think they're going to get isn't worth what they're going to lose. I said finally. I'd tell them that excitement fades but the consequences last forever. I'd tell them that they'll spend the rest of their watching someone else live the day away. She nodded. Will ever forgive? I don't think I should, I said. 2 years after the divorce, Jake and Katie got engaged. Lily called to tell me, excited and happy, Miss Katie is going to be my stepmom. Isn't that cool? That's great, honey, I managed to say. Dad says I can be in the wedding. I'm going to wear a fancy dress and throw flowers. My daughter was going to be in another woman's wedding. Was going to celebrate her father marrying someone who wasn't me. And she was genuinely happy about it. I should have been happy for her. For them. They deserved happiness. But all I felt was this crushing weight of everything I'd lost and would never get back. I wasn't invited to the wedding, obviously. That Saturday, I stayed in my apartment and didn't look at social media. But my mother called me from the reception. She'd been invited as Lily's grandmother. And I could hear everything in the background. Music. Laughter, Lily's voice saying, I love, Katie. I should go, my mother said awkwardly. Just wanted to check on Pine. I'm fine, I lied. I wasn't fine. I would never be fine again. That night, I looked at in the mirror. I was 36 now. 2 years of consequences had carved themselves into my face. I looked tired, sad, alone. This was my now. This was what I'd chosen when I'd Marcus in that parking lot. Every lonely evening, every missed milestone, Every time my daughter called another woman, Mom. Eventually, every moment of watching from the outside while my old continued without me. People asked me sometimes if I'd ever date again. The answer was no. Not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't trust. I'd proven I was capable of destroying everything good in my for something that felt good in the moment. I'd proven I couldn't be trusted with anyone's heart, especially my own. Lily is 9 now. She's adjusting well, her therapist says. She has a stable home with Jake and Katie. She's doing great in school. She's happy, and I see her every other weekend. I've become the fun weekend parent, the one who doesn't enforce bedtime, or make her eat vegetables, because I only have 48 hours to make her want to come back. It's pathetic and I know it, but I'm terrified that if I'm not fun, she'll stop wanting to see me at all. Sometimes she mentions wanting to stay at Dad's house instead of coming to mine. Madison is having a sleepover and I really want to go, she'll say. Or, Katie is taking us to the zoo and I don't want to miss it. And every time, I let her go. Because I have no right to demand her time. I forfeited that right when I chose Marcus over my family. I still see Marcus occasionally. In the parking lot at the grocery store, once at a coffee shop. He's gained weight, lost some hair. Looks ordinary, forgettable. This is the man I destroyed my entire for. He pretends not to see me now. We've never spoken since that phone call where he dumped me. Sometimes I wonder if he even thinks about what happened, if he has any idea what he cost me, if he ever feels guilty. Probably not. For him I was just a fun 3 months. For me, he was the end of everything. My biggest fear now is that Lily will grow and do the math. She'll realize I destroyed our family when she was 6. She'll remember those years and all the damage, and she'll decide she doesn't want me in her anymore. I'll show for my visitation weekend and she'll be 16 or 18 or 25 and she'll say, I don't want to see anymore. Made choice back then. Now I'm making mine, and I'll have no argument, no defense, because she'll be right. Sometimes late at night, I imagine an alternate reality. One where I never Marcus, where I went to that conference and came home, and told Jake I'd been feeling disconnected, and asked if we could go to couples therapy. Where I fought for my marriage instead of running from it. In that reality, Lily still draws family portraits with hearts above our heads. In that reality, I'm not spending holidays alone. In that reality, I didn't become a cautionary tale. But that reality doesn't exist. This one does. I did this. Every lonely night. Every missed bedtime. Every moment of watching another woman raise my daughter. Every year of Lily growing without me as her primary parent. Every consequence that will ripple forward for the rest of my. I chose 3 months of feeling wanted over a lifetime of being loved. And I'll never stop paying for it.